are down to the final play of the regular season.
Well, here's the boot by Luke, and that kick is no good. No good. Right. No he missed it. Luke missed it, and your Pittsburgh Steelers are AFC North champions.
Definitely stunned, man. Thought we had it in the bag. Man. I don't know what else we can do.
Do you want to see John remain the coach?
My bad. That's you asking me about next year, Jameson. Like, I'm so caught up in what just happened tonight. I can't focus on that right now. I just told you. Like he asked me, "Are you stunned?" I'm stunned right now. I'm still trying to process what's going on. Like I know we lost, but that's all.
Fair reaction from Lamar Jackson in my assessment in that exact moment, being asked about his head coach. Hello, welcome back to First Take. Okay, so Ravens are going to miss the postseason. They do not win the AFC North. In a thriller last night in the AFC North, Cam Newton, do you think that Lamar Jackson deserves a pass for the Ravens missing the postseason this year?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to tell you why. This is what was told to me early in my career. A quarterback is only as good as his kicker. And now when you start to unpack, a quarterback is only as good as his kicker. When you start to see certain quarterbacks get us in position, you do all the heroics, you get us to that point, and you miss the field goal, all that's for naught. When you start to also realize, like, yo, we're waiting for Lamar Jackson to come show up. We're waiting for Lamar Jackson to come show up. Don't lose it. Oh, now he takes over a game by making plays or extending the plays, and guys around him starts to make plays around him. The Isaiah Likely catch was absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. When you start to see Zay Flowers, absolutely ridiculous. Then defense, I need you, baby. To see what transpired yesterday almost gave me the same feeling when Mark Andrews dropped
last year.
The pass last year. So when is it where can we honestly say, hey, that was on Lamar, or was that on a supporting cast? I don't typically bend for specifics. I call it how I see it. Everybody knows that, understands that. Lamar Jackson played good enough football to win that football game yesterday. And they were in that game because of him as well, too. So to see it unfold was something that is heartbreaking, to say the least.
Go ahead, Rye.
Yeah, to blame this on Lamar Jackson would be foolish, but we know all-time greats don't get a pass. There are going to be parts of this season where you're going to look to Lamar Jackson and ask, what more could he have done? I would ask that. I think his teammates would ask that. His coach is going to ask that. The fans of Baltimore are going to ask that. But still, this revolves around what happened last night. And we ask Lamar, while being questioned, while being asked if he even wants to be a part of this team, did you quit on your team because you didn't play or you didn't fight through an injury that you felt incapacitated you, and to show up the way he did, to fend off Nick Herbig and on the next play hit Isaiah Likely to put you in position to kick a field goal, there was nothing more you could have asked of Lamar Jackson. To find Zay Flowers late in that game, to give yourself an opportunity to be up and for your defense to give up a touchdown that puts you behind again, there's nothing more you can ask of Lamar Jackson. But this is all going to be a part of an ongoing narrative about John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, and the Baltimore Ravens. Can you win a Super Bowl? You have an all-time transcendent player at the quarterback position. You've been the #1 seed and hosted the AFC Championship. You've gone into a divisional playoff game with the Buffalo Bills and had a 2-point conversion to send it to overtime and couldn't complete it. This is not just about what 2025 looked like for Lamar Jackson, because you cannot blame him for this team being on the outside looking in. But this team has been on the outside looking in far too many times in his already historic career.
I'm not going to give Lamar a pass, because part of the reason why the Ravens are in this situation is Lamar did not play the way that we've become accustomed to Lamar playing this year. He didn't. Now, he injured. There's no question about that. But this is an offense and a quarterback that was like historical last year. They were. And then they start the season on fire against Buffalo. They lose. And through the course of this season, it just never reconnected in the way that it did last year. So, like, I'm not just giving him a pass, and I understand there's missed time, and I understand he's an injured player for part of that season, but he just didn't play, and that happens, the way that we're accustomed to. I also agree with Cam in the regards of this is 3 straight years, 3, where he's been let down by his teammates. And I got a lot of respect for him. But you go back 3 years ago, and he didn't play great in the game, no. But the Zay Flowers fumble at the goal line happens. And then the Mark Andrews drop last year was one of the all-time greats for that organization, happens. And then the missed kick last night happens. And so, yes, they're in that situation this year, in part because of his lack of playing at the level that we're used to in the injuries. And then I sit there and go, he's also been let down 3 straight years. And the way that Josh Allen's been let down for multiple years in a row by his teammates.
1 year, 2 years, 3rd year last night with Luke missing that field goal. Oh, yeah, 3 years in a row. That's not on him. Mark Andrews last year, that's not on him. You're in a pressurized situation. You're at a deficit. You march your team downfield and you put them in a position to win. And dudes that are supposed to do their job don't do their job. A Mark Andrews is an all-timer. You don't drop that pass under normal circumstances. You drop that pass. Luke, he was a rookie. I get it. Pressurized situation, but that was a chip shot last night. You got to make that. Got to make that.
It wasn't close
you didn't make it, right? And the biggest reason we can afford to give Lamar Jackson a pass is because you had the 30th ranked defense against the pass. You had the 24th ranked defense in yards allowed. Defensively, there has been a huge question mark about this team. You got an offensive coordinator that picks and chooses when he wants to give Derrick Henry the football and when he doesn't. Last night he gave it to him, particularly in the first half. One could argue you might have needed to give him the ball more than 20 times for the game the way he was running roughshod over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first half. You can make that argument, or as your defensive coordinator. I mean, when we talk about potential changes in Baltimore, you ain't just talking about the head coach. A lot of people think that Harbaugh's going to survive, and that the real change is going to go with the offensive or the defensive coordinator, if not both of them. That's how people are looking at the Baltimore Ravens now. I get where you're coming from, though, because you're absolutely right on point, RC. Because most people, obviously most people don't know football the way that y'all do. So what happens is you're going to remember the intricate details of why this didn't happen. But as time goes on, a lot of people ain't going to remember what happened with Andrews, what happened with Orr, what happened with all they're going to remember is he ain't clutch. Ain't no Super Bowl appearance. That's what they're going to remember. That's not fair to Lamar. That's not fair to Lamar.
The thing that's upsetting about this entire season with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar's entire career is they've built this team around Lamar Jackson being Superman instead of helping him not have to be sometimes.
Right.
Like, how can this team win if he's just Clark Kent? How can this team win if he can't strike fear into defenses with what he can do with his legs because his knee is banged up, or because his hamstring's tight, or because his back isn't what it's supposed to be? This team in the first 3 games was 1-2 with a win against the Cleveland Browns, and they scored 40, 41, and 30.
Right.
And the next week he's hurt against the Kansas City Chiefs. What is Eric DeCosta doing that's saying, hey, Lamar Jackson, this week we can sit you in the pocket and you have wide receivers that could go one-on-one? Todd Monken, you understand where Lamar Jackson is. Let's run the football. Do we have an answer if Kyle Hamilton goes down late in an important, pivotal game to stop auxiliary receivers in between the numbers? You had none of those answers. And even with Lamar Jackson doing Lamar-type things late yesterday in that game, you still lose. That's not on him. He's not to blame. But in the end, if there's not a structural change, he's going to be on the outside looking in at Super Bowls for the majority of his career.
It shouldn't have to come down to one play every single year. Then who is to blame?
That's
and
football.
I'm not saying
Football's a one-play
always,
game.
Like, there's no way you have bad luck 3 years in a row. It shouldn't all be down to one play in the most pivotal.
Here's the thing: it's not bad luck. It's football.
Well,
Mark Andrews is paid to catch the football, execute. That's not bad luck.
Right.
And he's been great at it.
Tyler Loop got one job. Make the field goal.
One field goal from under 50
Exactly.
yards.
Make the field goal.
You missed last night.
Zay Flowers.
You missed last night.
You catch the crosser at home in the AFC Championship. Seed the ball. Seed it. That's period. It's execution by the people around him. And there has been times where he hasn't, and because he hasn't in some points, he'll get the blame for it all.
Yeah, but the only thing I would say, RC, is If you go back to 2018, it's the wild card game against the Chargers. They're the favorite by 3. They lose. 2019, divisional round versus Tennessee. They're the favorite by 10. Lose. 2023, title game versus Kansas City. Favored by 4. Lose. 2024, last year, favored on the road versus Buffalo by 1.5. Lose. Favored last night on the road in Pittsburgh without their best offensive player.
And about 17 or 18 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter lost. So let's not forget that either. But I will say this. Here's what I think, and I wanted to throw this by y'all to see what y'all thought about this. I think if you're having to make a decision about John Harbaugh, believe it or not, you're going to look to the first 5-6 games of the season. You're going to look at the 15-point lead you had in the opener against Buffalo, but you lost that game. And then you're looking at Detroit, Kansas City, Houston, and L.A. And I know that Lamar went down.
Out, right.
But the point, you're still going to look because you started off 1-5. You know, and so you're looking at how it started. And you're like, wait a minute now. We had a crew. They had, me included, Super Bowl expectations from most people.
They were the favorites.
And you started out 1-5. Why that happened, whatever conclusions Scotty comes to as to why that happened, I think is going to determine what's going to happen.
To Dan's point, and us talking about Sam Darnold early, right? Lamar's overall story is going to be that story. You're going to talk about the fact that the Chargers come out and they deploy 7 defensive backs for the first time the entire season, and it stifles Lamar in that game. You go to Tennessee and they don't play as well.
Go down 14-0.
Right? And so everybody understands those things. When you go back to last year's game in the divisional playoff round, what was it? It was Lamar with a fumble early on that was recovered, and then it was the post corner that the Buffalo Bills actually don't even score on. Right? And he brings them back. And so, yes, all of those things happen, but that's Peyton Manning early on in his career. Clearly one of the best players in football and can't get over the hump. The problem with Lamar right now is, when do you get over the hump, and is everything in that organization structurally prepared for you to do so? Because if not, I don't see him having better years, better opportunities than he's had previously.
So this, to answer as much as I can with one example. When people say the Patriot way, what does that mean? We've all heard Bill Belichick say, just do your job. When you start to see in the Super Bowl, when you're down 28-3, and you see Julian Edelman makes a ridiculous catch. You have Adam Vinatieri makes kicks under pressure situations. You have multiple players playing above expectations. The margin of error is so small, but people are still performing at a high level. We have not seen that. That goes to John Harbaugh. When you start to see the Ravens, there's a guy that is a dude. He cannot do it by himself, especially not when you get into these pressurized situations. The Isaiah Likely catcher was one of those like, whoa, where was that? When you start to see him come alive, the Derrick Henry, he can't get the ball enough. So to your point where you're like, yo, you need guys around him to make it easy, they have guys. So Todd Monken.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, dude, you have guys that's there. It's your job to orchestrate Pinocchio, as in the offense, to make it make sense.
Let's be honest. The issue with Lamar is this. We have never seen a transcendent Lamar Jackson performance in the biggest game.
Correct.
That's the problem.
Because it's been the lack of help.
But
because if the kicker makes the field goal. No, but listen, we are relying on Lamar when it's not Lamar's job. Lamar did his job. He upheld his end of the bargain
against Kansas City.
But if Mark Andrews makes the catch and now we give him another opportunity to make a play, he's been robbed from that opportunity.
The biggest thing is this. Stephen A has said it. Don't let it be you in any way.
For sure.
We have not seen one of those losses where it's not Lamar in any way. And once we get that, I believe he gets a treatment that we give a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen in many of those chances where the team doesn't uplift.
I kind of thought, I know we got to go. I kind of thought last night it wasn't on him. That brother
stepped
up. That brother stepped up when they asked him to, and the defense didn't get stopped.
Both things
when
could
they
be
needed
true.
to, and the field goal kicker didn't do his job.
100%.
Both things could be true.
100%. And the season started out slow for the Ravens. They wouldn't have even had to be in that situation.